Feeling stuck in who you are and the way your life turned out? You're not alone. Divorce shakes everything up, and it also provides you an opportunity and a chance to look at life with refreshed perspective. If you put in the work right now to heal, your pain, the hurt that you're in right now, can be turned and transformed into wisdom. It's time to confront the frustration, to dig deep, and finally to embrace the person, the version of yourself that you've been fighting for all along. In this video, I'm going to give you a brief introduction of each of the 4 core personality types. Beginning to understand these 4 types and who you specifically are is super important, because it determines what you need to do in order to effectively cope with what you're going through right now. Have you ever gotten back from a social engagement or from a date and berated yourself for something that you said? When somebody invites you to do something, even if it's something that you want to do you have a really difficult time shifting gears and moving away from what you had planned to be doing? If that sounds like you might be a C. Do you have a difficult time planning? Is boredom something that you actually kind of fear? Do you have a whole stack of half-read books or half-completed projects? Does your brain really want to jump onto something else the very second that something becomes boring or you stop enjoying something? If these things sound like you might be an O. Have you ever sworn that you weren't going to tell somebody something, and then 5 seconds later, you find yourself saying what you swore you were never going to say? Do you find yourself letting your emotions get the best of you? Do you love checking things off, and are you driven to get things done? When something comes on your screen, like lost keys or a lost TV remote, does it drive you crazy until they're found? If this sounds like you might be an R. Do you feel like you get stuck in the should'ves and could'ves of the past? Do you have a hard time doing something if you don't feel like you have all of the resources that you need, either time or money or help or whatever else, in order to do it the right way? If this sounds like you might be an E. These may be character traits that you wish that you could change about yourself. Today, I'm going to tell you why you can't change them, and even more importantly, why you shouldn't wish that you could. Okay, let's start by taking a little bit deeper dive into the C. C stands for comfort and connection, and C's are principally motivated by comfort. Almost everything they do is trying to create comfort in their lives. Comfortable clothes, comfortable furniture, comfortable emotions. The C brain wants things to be smooth and settled. This drives almost everything that the C does. When a C feels unsettled emotionally, the C brain will automatically do something, and they'll sit and ruminate on that until whatever it is feels settled. C's hardly ever do or say anything without thinking through it first. These are not the people that pop off. A C is very deliberate, and creating conflict or saying something that might create conflict or turmoil is uncomfortable. They are both motivated by comfort and also really by avoiding discomfort. C's are super accommodating. They go with the flow. They make room for other people very naturally. C's are also very plugged into the emotional environment. More than any other personality type, C's feel what's going on around them. C's are also, the second thing that C stands for is connection. And C's are very motivated by connection. They want deep, meaningful connection with the important people in their lives. And they really want to feel seen and understood. And this creates a predictable kind of conundrum for the C brain, because while they want this real close connection and to feel seen and understood, it's also really uncomfortable to risk and to vulnerably share what's going on. And so frequently the C will want to have the fruit of that connection and intimacy without the required risk to get that. Now let's talk about the O. O's are motivated by pleasant emotion. They want to be having fun and enjoying themselves all of the time. As a result of this, O's naturally look on the bright side of things. It also leads to them, this trait also leads to them really avoiding conflict and hassle and anything that feels negative or heavy. This drive for positive and pleasant emotion also leads to them getting over things really quickly, because staying upset and holding on to negative stuff is not a pleasant emotion. And so O's are naturally motivated to get over things really quickly. This trait also leads them to see the potential in things and people. O's are the people that you can present an idea to, And O's always think that anything is possible. Oh yeah, we can totally make that work. O's love the process of ideating about all of the cool things that could be. Their drive to be enjoying themselves leads to them being game for almost anything. And they will shift gears to accommodate a chance for fun. They'll move heaven and earth if they can. These are the friends that you can call up last minute and say, hey, I'm going to the lake in an hour. Do you want to go? Or I just got off work early. Do you want to run to the movie? And if an O thinks that something is going to be fun, they will do everything in their power to accommodate that opportunity. Another predictable aspect of this drive for pleasant emotion is that O's live in the present. They're the only personality type that lives in the present because they want the present moment to be enjoyable, and so it brings their mind to the present. O's are also the most people-oriented of any of the temperament types, and people tend to be drawn to the positive energy that they feel around O's. Now for the R. You R's out there are motivated by getting things done. R stands for resolution, and R's are motivated by getting things done and resolved. How this plays out is really interesting to understand. R's are motivated by the strain, the emotional strain that something unresolved causes them. Lost keys, a lost TV remote, a lost phone, an unfinished assignment that their kid didn't turn in. Once something comes to the attention or gets on the radar screen of the R brain that is not finished, it creates emotional strain for the R. And that emotional strain is what drives the R. The R is driven to resolve the emotional strain that you experience when something is undone or unfinished. As a result of this, R's are really good at blasting through obstacles to get things done. Another really cool aspect of this is one of my favorite traits of the R, and it's a really good relational variable. You hardly ever have to guess what's going on in the mind of an R, because almost everything that comes into the R brain comes out of the R mouth. And so, like we were talking about with C's hardly ever say or do anything without thinking through it first. R's are just the opposite. R's say almost everything that they're thinking. And so, relationally, this is really nice because that leads to trust in a relationship. Because I don't have to wonder, what else is going on back there that I don't know about. I can trust that with an R, normally what you see is what you get. R's are also really emotionally intense, but their intensity flares up and out really quickly. They're like a stick of dynamite. Their energy and their intensity is really good at creating movement, creating momentum. Now, finally, for you E's. E stands for exact and excellent. E's are motivated by improving things. And so the E naturally looks at anything that has happened and sees how to make it better. So this leads to the E living in the past, because they look to the past to see how to make something better for the future. And it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's how to organize a closet, how to clean the toilet, how to conduct a surgery, how to do your hair. The E brain is constantly looking at what has happened and trying to figure out the best way, trying to figure out how to make whatever it is better for the future. Once they've determined the best way, they have a very high level of confidence in the conclusions that they've drawn, and as a result, they're really slow to trust another person's opinion. E's, there has to be some reason to give you validity or credence in the mind of an E. And that comes out of this confidence that they gain from studying and thinking through things so thoroughly. So they think, well, yeah, the way that I've thought about this, the conclusion that I've drawn, that I've settled on is the correct one. E's are the most internal processors of any of the temperament types. When an E gets disorganized emotionally, they tend to go inside, to pull away from people and go inside, get things situated. The E brain is motivated by logic. They want things to make sense. So they go inside, they figure it out, and then they're good. And this is a really important point for you E's. Even though you may not feel like you need to process with anybody else what's been going on, your relationships need that. Sometimes E's can forget to include the other person in what's been going on internally. E's tend to be really slow to let people in. E's tend to have a pretty tight and small social circle, but once you're in, E's are extremely loyal. If you're in the inner circle of an E, you are one of their people, and they will be highly loyal to you. There are very few people who really understand themselves and the unique contributions that you can make to society. Along with this, there are very few people who understand why each personality type is so important to make the machine of society run. As you come to understand this about yourself, you will be much better prepared to cope with where you are in life and to really step into, like I said at the beginning, to really step into who you've been trying to become all along. I hope that you found this interesting. If you haven't taken the C.O.R.E assessment, please click the link below to find out what your primary C.O.R.E type is, and watch the next video to see how to cope with divorce through a C.O.R.E lens.